Hello, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and welcome back to Quality Management class. Let's continue on our last lecture of the second part. So, previously we have learned on quality and total quality management, just a brief idea on TQM. Then we learn on understanding customer. Now we are going to look at how to identify or define customer. Okay, are you ready? Let's get started. Defining customer. All right, so can you see here we have different pebbles and they all looks different, although they are all pebbles. One is slightly darker compared to the second one, and this one is having a sunglass, and this one is between the first two, not too dark, not too light, and this one is wearing a bow tie. So they are all different, although they are all pebbles. The same goes with customer. They are all customer, but they have their own requirement, their own needs, and their own definition of quality for that particular product or service. All right, let's look at this situation. It is a situation on board for East Air shuttle flight to Manchester. So it's just a short flight, maybe from London to Manchester, or from, it's a very short distance flight. Okay, that's what they call it, shuttle flight. All right, so once they take off, the stewardess announced that she's going to serve fresh bread rolls, coffee, and snacks. The passengers were delightful. But what happened next? Once she started serving, the earlier passengers got all the bread rolls, coffee, and snacks as she promised. Then some of the passengers start questioning, hey, where's my bread? Neither do I. I didn't get it. Where's mine? So some of the passengers did not get their bread roll. What happened? So she quickly tried to please the passengers by serving as soon as she can, but then she realized, why are we short of rolls? And there are more passengers asking, where's my roll? Where's mine? The flight is landing soon. Remember, it's just a shuttle flight. So it's a short distance, maybe like 20, 30 minutes flight. So the passengers want their, their rolls and their snacks, everything, but it's not been served yet. So they start complaining and they were really upset. Even after they landed, they were still complaining, what a service, what an airline, blah, blah, blah. And the stewardess feels she has let the passengers down. So, but actually, it's not her fault. But someone has let her down. Who is that? Can you guess? All right. Earlier, when the airport catering supplier was rushing to meet the flight because the plane has to take off at certain times as scheduled. All right. So they actually forgot to bring a box of bread rolls. And when they reach the flight, the plane, which is ready to take off, they told the guy who received the stock for the bread rolls for that plane, um, here you are, Sunshine. A few bread rolls short, I'm afraid. So the supplier actually informed the guy, this guy here. But this guy actually made his own assumption. Oh, never mind, nobody eats them anyway. And he did not actually inform the stewardess what happened behind the scene. Even when the stewardess asked him for 72 trays, okay? Yes, he actually hid that they were missing or the shortage of bread rolls for that plane, because he assumed nobody going to eat them, right? So the passengers did not get their bread rolls because there was a break in the chain of supply. So the customer were not delighted. Right here, our guru has a query, one simple question. Who is the customer? Can you define the customer? Remember, we have internal and external customer. So, as you can see here, the passengers here is the external customer, or we call it outside customer. There are links in the task of serving the outside customer. So the link start from the supplier, the caterer here. So the caterer supply the bread rolls to the guy who received the bread rolls here. And this guy supply the bread rolls to the stewardess. And the stewardess then serve to the outside customer. So this is the last customer. So this is the outside or external customer. And this is the internal supplier to the external customer. But she herself is also the internal customer to this guy. And this guy who received the bread and supply the bread to the stewardess. So stewardess is the internal customer to this guy. This guy is the internal supplier to the stewardess. But this guy is also the internal customer to the caterer. So the caterer is actually the external supplier who supply the bread rolls to the internal customer, who is this guy, and this guy is the internal supplier to the stewardess. So everybody here play a role as internal and external customer and supplier. So there are inside supplier here as well as inside customer. And they make a quality chain between the customer and supplier. That's why a popular slogan of the quality movement is quality begins with customer. So you must work with internal and external customers. This is the major drawbacks when we talk about customer. We always think that the one who use or buy the product is the only customer. No, that's a big mistake. We have to look at the internal customers as well, because the internal and external customers must work together to determine their needs and collaborate with the internal and external suppliers. Look at this example. So this is Mr. Webber, and this is his secretary, and this is the Professor Grumbecker. So he said he's going to take Professor Grumbecker around the plant. So please send a letter to Mr. Blount saying that I wrote this letter to signal Rosie. So can you identify who is actually the internal and external customer and supplier? And this is the letter that Mr. Weber asked his secretary to send out. Okay, so I'll leave that to you to identify who is actually the internal and external supplier and customer. So quality relies on a process between supplier and customer, and there should not be any break between the chain. All right, because the process must ensure that no mistakes are possible. Once there's a break in the chain, then you have a problem in the process, and there's more and more mistakes will happen. All right, if you remember, quality involves everyone in the organization. So the motivation of the staff at every level is really important, because this will determine whether they want to improve the quality or not, whether they bother to understand who are their supplier or customer and what is the effect for the end product. That is depend on their motivation. So it's really important. Motivation is really important for managing a good quality. So quality chain must be built by everyone in the organization, even though who do not see the service or product being supplied to the external or outside customer. So let's look at this conversation. Okay, so there is a problem, and this guy was asking, "Oh, what's the problem?" And this operator was just saying that, "Listen, I get here at 8 and I work until 4, turning out spindles all day long. I get paid to do my job." So he said, in other way, he's saying that I don't care what happened. I'm just doing my job because his lack of motivation. And said it's management job to manage. They are paid more than I do. So why should I do it? You go and ask them how I can build in quality. Don't ask me. I only work here. So he don't even think of the end quality because what he know, he just do his job. That's it. So when he was having lunch with his friends, so his friends is working from another department, the assembly line, and his friend was asking, "Hey, what's wrong with your machine, Phil? Half of your spindles are out of the spec. That means the product from his department is out of spec, not good quality. And this affect the assembly line. You are slowing down our assembly line." So that means because of his lack of motivation, and he don't even bother to think what to do, what to improve, although he know there's a problem. So, and he don't bother to talk to the management or make improvement. So he just proceed doing his product. Okay, and his product has been supplied to another department, which is the assembly line. And because of most of the spindles are out of spec, so this has slowed down the assembly line, which is the next department. So can you see, once there's a break in the chain, then there's problem. So he still don't actually bother. So he just said, "Ask the supervisor, I'm only the operator." But his friend said, "Wrong. You are the expert when it comes to that machine." Because why? Because he is the one who handle the machine every single day. So he should know better than everyone else. If he know there's a problem with the machine, he should inform his supervisor and say what they can do to improve so that it won't affect the other stage of the process. So the key to motivation and therefore quality is for each member of the organization. It's really important to make sure that everybody in the organization, the member of the organization from the top to the ground staff, everybody is motivated. They know who are their customer and they know their role as customer, and they are also the supplier. So as customer and supplier, we should always be asking all these questions. Who are my immediate customers? What are the requirements? How do I find out what the requirements are? How can I communicate with another department, for example? The same goes with supplier. So who are my immediate supplier? What are the true requirements? How do I communicate my requirements, and etc. etc. So the customer must be the organization top priority. Of course, the organization survival depends on the customer. And when we talk about customer, it's not always the external, but also the internal customer. So when we have reliable customer mostly we refer to the external or outside customer. So reliable customer are the most important customer because they are the one who buys repeatedly and they keep coming to the same organization. So that's what we call as reliable customers. Customers who are satisfied with the quality of the purchase or service from any organization or company become the reliable customer or loyal customer to the company. Therefore, customer satisfaction is essential and it determines the quality of the product or service. So customer satisfaction is ensured by producing high quality products. It must be renewed with every new purchase. It cannot be static. And satisfaction implies continual improvement. And this continual improvement is the only way to keep customers satisfied and loyal and be reliable customer to the organization or company. Traditional management practice, that management by result approach, it is known as inward looking or more like reactive as compared to proactive. Don't worry, we will learn about proactive and reactive in a bit. All right, so whereas the management with a customer focus is known as outward looking because their aim is the customer needs and then they work out what to do to meet the customer needs or requirements. So management by results begins with profit and loss and return on investment. Quality leadership begins with customer. So it is a customer focused driven organization. So with quality leadership, an organization's goal is to meet or even better to exceed customer needs to give lasting value to the customer. And lastly, the key to establish a customer focus is putting employees directly in touch with customer and empowering those employees to act as necessary to satisfy the customer. You have as the top management of the organization or company, let's say you are a manager, you have to give a trust and to make your employer or your staff to feel like they are important to the company. Let them be in touch with your customer and understand what other customer needs and requirements so that they can appreciate, oh, okay, I'm making a good or important things for the customer. Without my product, then the end product is impossible. So they have to have that feeling that they are important and belonging to the organization. Maybe this can be done through telephone or in person or reviewing customer provided data so that the top management will get all this data and they have to communicate down the line to their staff so that everybody at each level will understand their roles as customer and supplier in order to maintain the end product or service that the company or organization provides. We will learn on communication with customer in the next lecture. So till then, we'll stop here and see you in a bit.